A wedding day can start late for any number of reasons. This in turn makes the ceremony late, and then you're off to the family pictures while the guests are at the cocktail hour. Because the whole day started later than it was supposed to, the start of the reception gets held up, and all anyone knows is, wow, the photographer sure is taking his own sweet time. Want to talk wedding photography pet peeves? Let's talk about it. There's a long prevailing expression that says weddings never start on time. After photographing them for nearly 20 years, I can say that that hasn't been my experience. For the most part, things go just fine, give or take a few minutes. When they do start late, though, there can sometimes be a story attached. Why would a wedding start late? Not to throw anyone in particular under the bus, but I have some very specific examples. I've had both brides and grooms start getting ready later than they're supposed to. I've had grooms hold up the works because they couldn't pull themselves away from a video game or from drinking with their friends or a round of golf. I've had brides who are just late for things in general, want to drink with friends, or underestimated the amount of time it takes to put on a dress that includes a corset. When I meet with my couples before their wedding day, if they're having a first look, I encourage them to tell their makeup artist that we're doing so at a particular time. Sometimes all they've been told is when the ceremony is, and it might not have been communicated that the bride actually needs to be ready prior to that. I've worked with many professional hair and makeup artists who have wedding day experience and understand the timeline that has to happen and plan accordingly. Less experienced practitioners, though, don't always understand these needs or don't know what questions to ask regarding when they need to be done by, and that can push everything back. This can have even more of an effect if a friend is doing everyone's makeup or the bridesmaids are doing it themselves. It always takes longer than people think. I've seen weddings start late because a bridesmaid or groomsman or a sister or brother arrived at the prep location late or thought they could just sneak in to have their makeup done without consulting with the makeup artist beforehand. I've experienced parents who later said, I knew what time you said for everyone to be there, but I didn't think that applied to me. At one wedding, one of the groomsmen volunteered to set up cameras to film the ceremony. Because he had attended LA Film School, a point of pride he continued to make to my second and I leading up to the event in question, told us he knew everything there was to know about filming an event. Apparently his schooling didn't prepare him to make sure he actually had the camera with him before a shuttle took us all from the venue to the chapel. He had to make his way back to the venue to get the camera, then make his way back to the chapel, then set up the camera and get into position to be in the ceremony. This pushed the ceremony back a solid 45 minutes. The planner was going out of her mind. I'm not unaccustomed to random acts that can cause any of the principals on a wedding day to be late. Sometimes there's traffic that can't be helped, or someone has a health issue, or a sudden downpour causes everything to come to a halt. Or something similar happens that's outside of anyone's control. Sometimes it just is what it is. As someone who regularly sees behind the curtain and is privy to the machinery that makes a wedding day run, I often have more information than the average guest. So when things aren't running according to schedule, I understand why and do my best to adapt accordingly. This can be problematic when it comes time for the family pictures. Whether they're after a first look and before the ceremony, or more traditionally during the cocktail hour between the ceremony and reception, that's when the guests start to notice things are running late. It's at this point people start to wonder why, and all they see is, not knowing the circumstances that led up to it, that the photographer has the couple. That's who has the finger pointed at them as the reason for everyone not getting to eat when they thought they were going to. When I see this happening, I do my best to get through the formals as quickly as I can. This is one of the reasons I make an efficient list ahead of time so I can just call out different groups and blast through them. Sometimes you're able to be relaxed during this time of the day, but if you need to make up the time because the cocktail hour has become shorter so the introductions can still start at the same time, you move through them as best you can. Thankfully, I've worked with experienced DJs who know how to extend the cocktail hour so guests notice this discrepancy less. This incorrect assumption that the photographer is the cause of the holdup is my pet peeve. I understand why someone might come to that conclusion, considering that's what they see and not what came before, but the degree to which I want people noticing my presence, I want it to be a positive and professional one. I want people's perception of me and anyone that works with me to know that we're professional and personable and punctual. I've had couples who are guests at their friends' or siblings' weddings later hire me because they saw me in action and then later the actual photos. So if there's a perception that I'm holding up the works, that could be a check in the negative column if anyone there is interested in hiring a photographer for their own event. Similarly with the venues themselves, I like to think I have good relationships with coordinators and salespeople at the venues in my area. They know why things might be running late. So if they see me trying to make up that time, that speaks to the idea that we're all in this together to give people a good experience. Often they have their own issues they're dealing with on the day and might come up to me while I'm doing the formals to see how much longer we're going to be. Meals are being prepared to be served at a specific time, so if things are running behind schedule, that affects the quality of the food and therefore the guest's experience. It's a whole thing. And you know what? Sometimes it is our fault. Once I've lined everybody up for family portraits, I've had gear failures that I've had to stop to tend to in order to continue working. Sometimes with wireless off camera lighting, the signal just drops out for mysterious reasons. Usually the classic turn it off and on again works like magic, but every once in a while you have to confirm what channels and groups you've set everything to. It can be really frustrating having to deal with technical issues while everyone is waiting for you. Once the reception starts, though, everyone seems to forget about what came before, or at least easily overlook it. That's when the party really starts and people are eating and drinking and talking, and they're more prone to overlook all of the above when they start having fun. A wedding day is an organic living thing with many moving pieces that can shift the timeline in ways you can't anticipate. While it's easy to point the finger at the photographer when things are running late, there's often a series of unseen details at play. Part of my job is to keep things running smoothly within the subset of things that I can control while doing what it is I was hired to do. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your taking the time to listen. If you like what you heard in this video, please like and subscribe. What things have you seen that have caused wedding day timelines to go off the rails? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos like this and hear more stories, check out this other one I made for you. This is Ask a Wedding Photographer. I'm Seth Kaye, and I'm here to help.